Hello and what is up, guys? Rye here and welcome to the second out of 3 parts for the Luxobarge reviewing. So again, this is going to be about 20 or so cars spanning around an hour, hopefully not too much longer than an hour. And then I'm going to have all the scores for all the cars down below, just so if you want to jump in and see what your score is, the score's down there. Or if you want to watch your review, you can just skim through the video and find your review. On average, it's like 2 to 5 minutes per review per car. Some are a bit longer than that even, and some are maybe a little bit shorter. One thing again, just like the last video, I want to point out before I do start, I only have a few minutes with all these cars, and I don't really look at them beforehand except for a very select few that I just sort of browse at first or mess up the recording after we record. So I don't spend too much time with any of the cars, and it's just sort of my snap judgment based on, basic looks and appearance, things like that. And if you guys didn't get in this challenge or didn't move on to the next round, and you'll know in the third video which cars are moving on to the next round, because you'll know the top 10 scores, and I'll point them out in the comments there too. If you guys aren't in the top 10 once, if you ever want to submit a car to me, you can do so during the community build live streams where you guys just build cars and send them to me to drive. So if you guys want to send your Luxobarge to me for the community challenge, join the Discord linked in the description and just sort of await for the next community challenge. So without further ado, I hope you enjoy. Okay, so first up is the 1978 EAW Bavaria 4x4 Sport 200. This car is submitted by Azotos. Is this thing 4x4? Is this thing four-wheel drive? Is this four-wheel drive? It is four-wheel drive, which is just weird. In a great way. That's awesome. So this car is by Azotos, like I said, and first impressions, this is a BMW, but in a very good way, in the best way possible. This is a BMW. This has got to be such a beautiful car. It is such a beautiful car. A lot of BMW traits. It's not exactly BMW, but very, very, very close to BMW. It's a bit different, which is also good. This is the EAW Bavaria, not BMW, but still from Bavaria. So this is a big old German sedan, basically. Again, takes a lot of traits from a BMW, from this era, like a 6 Series, a 635 CSI. Is that what it is? I'm not too sure. 6 Series, I think, like Grand Coupe. And honestly, I can't even talk about the design because I'm just like it's such a beautiful car. So we have some pretty much 1970s European-ish headlights, basically. Not square like a modern, but still 70s, late 70s kind of thing. With one kind of grill in the middle here, and it's all handmade. Look at each piece is individually placed right there for all these bars. A lot of detail has been put into this. You can clearly tell. The 10 is perfect. I wouldn't change anything on the front at all. I think the vents here look really good. I don't know 100% if... Wait, can we change the chrome inside? Okay, we can't. Okay. You know what? I think I might prefer body colored. And these vents, I like the vents. I just don't like how they're just so rigid. But it's still a great looking car, obviously. I love the amount of detail on the side here. I think these lines flow pretty well with everything here. I think all this whole area works. Might be almost too much detail, but this is good. A very, very well designed car. This little intake right here, little vent on the side looks good. The splitter on the bottom here. So this is more of a GT car, but it still has very much a luxury feel. It's not too crazy sporty. It's got a lot of vents, which makes it a bit sportier, but it's not, crazy wide fenders. It's still got wide tires because it's part of the rules. You can have wide tires. So we even have front windshield wipers, and we have a rear window wiper, which is crazy. We have the Sport 200 4x4 Sport 200 badge in the back here, and we have Bavaria in a nice chrome badge as well. Back again. I don't think I would really change anything. I just don't like how the exhaust right here comes right out of the grill. Maybe instead of having like a grill at the back, because I think it's a little. Oh, there's a trailer hitch too. That's just great. Maybe instead of having like the grill back here, have like just some chrome trims or a few layers of chrome trim to make like some sort of design. Overall, a very beautiful car. I love the white vinyl top or the white painted top. I'm gonna give this thing I can't give a 10. It's not perfect, in my opinion, but it's very, very good. We're gonna give this thing a 9.5, I think, out of 10. Thank you, Azotos, for this submission. We've probably spent too long on this car already for the first car. So thank you, Azotos, for this submission. 9.5 out of 10. And let's jump into the next one. 1975 was a pretty great year, and in that year came the Mercados BeamNG, the BeamNG 1975. This is a big old, again, I'm assuming it's going for a German style sedan, 3,000 pounds, 0-60 16 seconds. Starting off with a design, I do like the quad headlights going up here, and I think this actually works interesting with the lights and the turrets, and it'll actually You can see here it's kind of overlapping just a bit, just because I think it's because you have not this. It's because you have this. If you made it clear, or even like translucent, just not that one thing, I think. No, it's not glitching out for me. I'm not sure what it was. I'm not sure what the issue was, but it was kind of glitching out there. That's fine. So I like the headlights a lot. I'm not a big fan of the grille. I like the size of the grille because it is absolutely massive, but I wish it was a bit more detailed and a bit more well done. So we have like a pretty much an Alfa Romeo style grille here, and then a big old square kind of rectangle oval kind of grille there. Pretty run-of-the-mill bumper with some bumperettes. I do appreciate that. And then big gold chrome license plate at the bottom. Is it the original size? It is. Points for having the original size license plate. A elegant chrome strip down the middle and some windshield wipers, which I think are a bit too high because they're sitting on the glass. The mirrors look nicely there. I do like the chrome strip going around it. I wish it flowed a bit better incorporated into the front end design, but it looks good still. I like how, you know, I like how there's pauses. There's little breaks in between the door handles. That's a nice little touch. You can have them going with it, or you can have pauses. I do like either or. I think there should be more chrome going along the back here. Not a fan of the rim choice. I'm pretty sure you probably had modded wheels, and I don't have the mod pack or whatever the mod for the wheels are, and they're just plain wheels. Whatever you did, don't like the color blue and the chrome. Not a fan of that. The roof, and I think the hood gives a bit more detail, and maybe the side a bit more detail as well. Maybe like a badge or something like that. Coming to the back, I think it's pretty fine. You have a D badge. I'm assuming this is like the brand badge, or this is a similar badge. This is the brand badge too. I'm not sure what badge this is, but I like the badge there. Is this license plate the original size as well? It is. Okay. Oh, I think it's slightly changed, which that's still fine, I guess. If it's wait, did I click on license plate? Was it? Oh no, I think I clicked on the bars. That's fine. I like how you tried to have like a latch in the bottom, but I think for like a luxury car, especially one around the $80,000 mark, I think it's a little bit too tacky. The taillights are simple, but they're fine. And the exhaust, again, it's fine. I think a bit more detail overall is necessary. I do like where you're going with the front end, though. I wish you'd put a bit more detail in the front grille. I think just a bit more detail at the full front end. I think a bit more detail on the car, but I really like this headlight design, how this is going to look. Overall, I think we're going to give this thing a 7 out of 10. I think overall, just a bit more polish and work, but I think it's still a really good starting point for a great car, and I really do like how this is set up and how this is going to work together if it was a bit more complete. So thank you for the submission, Nova Wolf, and I hope to see you in the next challenge. And next up in front of us is the 1978 Jubila Verona Luxury. This is by Generic. This is a pretty light sedan from the 1970s. But it is a big old boy, a massive. Is it a rear engine? It is a rear engine beast. That is pretty cool. So starting with the front looks, I do like, so this is definitely a late 70s kind of design vehicle with the square kind of sealed headlights. I'm not 100% sure when sealed headlights came to play, but I think I have it on my car and it looks good, so I'll leave it at that. I like the turn signals, how they're made there. They wrap around the entire front end into a nice pointed shape. I like that a lot. And the bumper is placed as well, and there's a fair bit of depth overall in the whole part of the grille. A lot of simple parts pushed or put together to make a pretty complex and overall, I think, a pretty good design. Starting at the hood here, so again, pretty good detail here. We have a little bit of a, what is this, okay, it's a bumper used as a hood ornament, and then a little bit of a hood bulge there too. The wipers, I think they're pretty good. I think this one could have been, I think they could be a little bit larger and a little bit farther apart. I do like the mirrors. I like how they're actually sitting up front. It looks pretty luxurious and a little sporty with the curved kind of circly mirrors. Coming to the other parts of the side here, so we have suicide doors, a big old piece of trim, which I think looks good, but maybe could have been broken up at the hinges and stuff just to add a little more refinement. I like having the little, I'm not even sure if this is like a little king kind of guy here. I like how that looks. I don't like having it twice over. So on this side and on this side, and it's also just flipped, just duplicate. Oh no, it's not mirrored, is it? Okay, it's not mirrored actually. Okay, you have it that way intentionally, which in that case I appreciate that, but I think it would have been better actually if you had. Oh no, I guess it's probably better like that actually. Yeah, no, I guess it's. Yeah, no, I guess it's fine. Yeah, it just looked weird for me for a second there. That looks fun. The suicide doors is a nice touch. Door handles might be a little bit old for 1978, but I think it looks good, and you know, nothing says luxury. It's like technology from the 1950s. The wheels, they must have been a mod because they are just like generic wheels. And honestly, I don't think it looks too bad. For a luxury car, it's not good, but for a muscle sedan like this could be, I like that. I think you should have integrated the turn signals into the trim, just to add a little bit more cleanness. Then maybe a little bit of chrome trim down the bottom. or take away one of these badges and have like wording trim underneath the chrome trim with the turn signals into the actual chrome trim. Coming in the back here, so we have an exhaust just out the side there, and I like the little nice single exhaust. That's pretty realistic for 1970s. A wiper on the back. I wish I had a wiper on the back of my car when I built mine. We have a big old Verona badge and the sigil almost of the company. Then we have another one right there. I think it's almost too much because you've got 6 badges, 7 badges if you include the front, 7 badges, which is just a bit. I like this part of the housing right here. It actually sticks out. Is this actually okay? So this is a bumper. Oh, I like how that looks from the side. That is very interesting from the side. I'm not sure if that'd be legal, but it looks very good. Then we have some more, like another housing inside here. I think the back end looks pretty good. I think it gives a little bit more refinement. It's not as refined, and I don't want to say tasteful, but in my opinion, as tasteful as the front. A little spoiler there, just very subtle, though it looks nice, and the chrome trim up there is nice. I think it could be done a little better, but the front is awesome. I like the front a lot. Overall, I think we're going to give this thing an 8 out of 10. Thank you, Generic, for this submission. I hope to see you as well in the next challenge. Up next is the 1978 JSC Saint Broham, and I guess every car is 1978 for the most part, but I'll keep saying it. 1978 JSC Broham, we have a front engine from a rear-wheel drive, I'm assuming rear-wheel drive, massive coupe. This thing is a true coupe, 4,000 pounds. Started with the front design. I think the front bumper, is this a, okay, yeah, it's not a mod, but it just looks so massive. I think, honestly, it probably would have been better if you did it not chrome and then had your own bumpers made. And also, these auxiliary lights with these fog lamps down here, I don't like how they go into the bumper way too far. You maybe should have used another light, or the one with the actual covering on the front. I do like the headlight and the grille. I actually kind of like how small it is. I think the size is perfectly fine. It's a unique design, and I like it. Maybe have like something other than a rectangle though. Maybe I think with this body, with this hood bulge right here, maybe the hood came up, or something like that would have been kind of nice. But it still looks good. I like how the turn signals come around there. I like how there's turn signals in the front. Very, very quirky, and I like that though. I appreciate that. Overall, the front end's pretty good. I think it's a little bit unpolished. Yeah. And I think it would have been better if he had a painted bumper than chrome over top of it, just to do a bit less of it. The hood, lacking detail. I think the mirrors are a little bit small for how forward they are, maybe a little bigger for how forward they are, but I think that they fit the car nicely. The wheels, what size are these? These are what? Okay, 14s might be a little small. I think 15s are 15s maybe for a quite expensive car, but I think that's still pretty period correct. I like the circle window, and I mean, I don't say this to anyone's car. I said the opposite so far. I kind of like it for some reason. I think maybe it's the right size or the right proportion on this car. I kind of like it. But again, circles don't really fit with squares, in my opinion. The vinyl top on the roof here, I like how it looks good there. The sunroof maybe, yeah, I mean, it wasn't really, you don't really have too much sunroofs, but maybe it was bigger would be better. But obviously cars didn't really have sunroofs all that often, if at all, back in the day. Man, I never realized how sharp this body is. It's crazy. Going to the back here, and this is a massive trunk. We have a Saint badge, and we have a, what is this, just a, oh, this is actually a headlight just for a trim piece. That looks nice. I kind of like that. We have like a logo up there, and we have just turn signals, and we had taillights, but I guess they would have been a mod. So I think if we had taillights there, it would have been a bit more clean. I'm assuming the taillights were similar to the turn signals just up here. We have a hitch, and then we have dual exhaust out the back, and we have a gas cap down here, which is very interesting. Not very functional at all, but I like it. I like that nonetheless. Overall, I think it's a clean car. Definitely needs a bit of work here or there. Then again, I might not have all the mods that you have. That's why I encourage people to use vanilla. Although if you have mods, I will use whatever I have, kind of thing. Overall, I think it's a pretty good design. Yeah, it needs work. The front end though, I like where you started with the front end. I think it needs to be finished a bit more. We're gonna give this thing a 6 out of 10. But thank you for this mission. And I do hope to see you in the next one, and hopefully I'll have more mods or try to use more vanilla next time. But thank you for the submission, Wesley. And now we are doing the 1975 GBR, sorry, Wibber GT. This is about Childish Sin. This is a bright blue boy. First impressions, man, it's a bright blue. Yeah, I'm not sure if I dig it for a 1970s kind of car. I mean, then again, 1970s cars did have wild colors, and I can appreciate that. 1975 is the year that we've chosen for this car, that you've chosen for this car. So showing off at the front here. Okay, so I can see you have incorporated, a few grills here to make your own. So you've got Okay, so at first it looks kind of like you just like placed a couple pieces down, but actually now that I see there's a fair bit of detail in here. I do like the front end a fair bit. It's almost a little bit too new for 1975 though, but I like it a fair bit. I think the bottom end of the bottom of the front fascia maybe could use a bit of tuning here. I'm not a fan of having this grill. I think just like a normal non-gated grill, then making your own sort of grills, your own sort of lines would look a bit better. Like just some thicker grill lines in general. And then maybe having something else here, like some extra, like an extra fog lamp or auxiliary lamp or whatever you want. A little bit of detail on the hood would have been nice too. The side profile, man, this is just a little boy here. I'm just gonna double check, make sure we are under the requirements. And oh yeah, and I just had to double check. Yeah, so we are within the wheelbase. I'm just double checking because I was like, are we in the wheelbase? Oh, and this thing is. Okay, it's a rear engine. I always laugh at a massive rear engine V8 car. So 0 to 60 in the low 8-second range, I mean just under 8.5, so under 8.5 seconds. Side profile, I think the wheels, are they 15s? Okay, they're 15s, a pretty normal size tire. They are really tall sidewall, which is normal for a 1970s luxury car. I almost feel like this door is a little bit small. That's something that you can just change easily though. I think like just a large door. Because you gotta think, back in the day, the cars had massive doors. This would be like a 10-foot door, to be honest, in reality now. I don't know if I like it. I think I like the shorter door, but that's okay. So I think a bit more detail on the side would have been nice, having maybe a badge name. Maybe you have mods that I don't have. I'm not too sure. And maybe, like, I like you put this here. I think a sunroof, or a T-top even almost would have been nice for this car, just because it almost feels like an 80s kind of boxy car. At the back here, we do have a bit more detail. We have, actually, a fair bit of detail with the taillights and some grills integrating. We have the GBR Wibble GT name. I'm not sure if you had a mod for the badge or the badge is just gone, because I feel like you should have had like a nice badge here. But I'm assuming I just don't have the mod. I think the bottom here could use just okay, I think a darker color would look nicer. Get rid of the side exhaust. They look badass, but we're a luxury car. We got a bit more class than that. I think maybe just dual out the back would have been nice, not shotgun tips like that. I like the taillights, like the detail I put into them now. I think working a bit more with, like, because you've got like dark, some 1980s plastic, 1970s chrome mixed in with a bright paint job. I think a more toned down paint job. I do really like the detail on the front and the rear end. A good amount of detail with the lights. It's not my style, it's not my taste for a car per se, but I like the amount of detail, and I think it fits in pretty well with a 1970s, 1980s kind of car. Overall, I think we're going to give this thing, what do we want to give this thing? I think just due to lack of detail, and there's no badging, maybe I don't have a mod, we're going to give this thing a 7.5. If it had the badging, and it had a bit more detail, I think it would have been an 8 to an 8.5. Actually, yeah, if it had the color changed, a bit more badging, and these not here, I think an 8.5, or even a 9. But thank you, Chatherson, for the submission, and I hope, like always, to see you in more challenges. And next up is a car by Yurei. This is the Gary's Luxo 6.0. And before we start, though, this car does technically get disqualified just because it is under the wheelbase requirement of 105 inches. This one sits at 104 inches, so it is slightly under the wheelbase. This body does not fit in the requirements for the challenge, but we're going to review this car real quick anyways. First off, I think there were some mods used. There is no grill here. I'm not sure if that was intentional, but I think it would look better. Oh shoot, with a grill right here. If you just even just stick this here, I think that's a pretty good looking car right there. Definitely has an American style to it. The headlights definitely fit with 1970s American kind of design and regulations. The wheels look fine. I think they fit in perfectly fine. You must be using mods for the door handles, I think. And there's no trim. It needs a bit more trim on the side. I think I'm missing, a lot. A bit more trim on the side would be nice, along with, door handles, and maybe even like a window here or a sunroof. The back end, I think the back end looks perfectly fine. No issues with that at all. I think instead of shotgun tips, just dual tips going down the bottom, or just single tips would be good as well. Maybe a little bit more detail, I think, overall in the car. I'm still going to give this a score because I think it still should get a score, but it's just going to be DQ'd overall. You got to make sure to stick within the rules for the challenge. This thing is going to get a 6.5 for the design. Actually, no, just because there's no front grille, it's going to get a 6 out of 10. Yeah, I was looking with the front grille. 6 out of 10. If you had proper design, I think this could be a much better looking car, but I think a bit more polish, and make sure to have proper mods and a mod body, or a body that fits in the requirements. But thank you for the submission, Yaren? For Yare. Thank you for submission, Yare. Hope to see you also in the next challenge, though. And now next up is the 1973, or 1978 I guess, trim, the Freedom Freeman V8 Special Edition, or SC. This vehicle is by, I think it was Gordon juicing this vehicle in. It was by Gordon. So first off, black is a very luxurious color. I like it. Sorry with the front design. I think design fits 1978-ish. The headlights are very massive, but so was my car. I think actually a little bigger of a grille maybe would have been nice. And not a rectangle shape, almost like a circle shape, just because the front end just feels, I don't know, it just feels incomplete because there's some lack of space. Even actually, no, there's a vent here where you can barely see because everything's black. It almost feels like it's a bit empty. Maybe have like some like chrome bars down here or something like that. And I think the bottom can use a bit more detail as well. I do like the pinstripe, or basically the chrome strip on the hood, and the vents here. Actually, I think the vents here actually suit the car pretty well. I like the V8 badge. Almost think maybe you could have just made it like, I don't know, black or like gray behind or something like that. I don't like how it's indented so much, but it still looks pretty good nonetheless. The side mirror, I think the mirror is a bit low, but it looks good. Maybe a little bit too modern of a mirror. The wheels maybe are under 15s. It's just a little smaller sidewall. They fit in fine with the time period. They are turbine wheels, kind of like sporty, almost like race wheels, but they look good. I love those wheels. The back end, I think the back end is pretty good. It's pretty good. Not too much complaints. Similar taillights as to the headlights. Follows a similar design pattern. I think they're quite a bit small though. I do like the effort put in with the Freeman, the Freedom, and the V8, all the badges and all that stuff. We have a trunk release. They do have a license plate area, and then quad. Everyone uses shotgun exhausts. I just don't like. It's not 19. This is not like a 2012 sports car like a Mustang V8. This is a 1978 luxury car. Shotgun tips, in general, were incredibly rare if anything. Overall, I think the design. It's got a fair bit of detail, but I think it could use a bit more polish here and there. And black is a little bit hard to see and stuff. Overall, I think it's getting there. I think it's getting there. We're gonna give this thing a. I think we're gonna give it. What we're gonna give this thing? I think we're gonna give this thing a 5.5, 5.5, a 5.5. Just because I'm not feeling the design too much. There is a decent amount of detail, but I just don't think it works all 100%. But keep working on it. Thank you for the submission, and I hope to see you as well in the next challenge. Next up is the 1978 Ford Montana. The Montana. This is by Stormer. This is a big old American coupe from the 1970s, 80s. Pretty good 0 to 60. Starting with the design here, I do like the front design. I think it's a bit on the plain side, top and bottom. But I like it. I think it's good proportions for the grille and the headlights and all that stuff. Maybe just a bit more design, because you just placed a couple fixtures down here and there. I like the badge, having the badge there. I think a hood bulge or some striping or some chrome down the hood would look nice too. The turn signal, I think almost it could have been better integrated into the trim on the side there, a bit better. Door handle might be a little bit on the large side, and the mirrors are fine, I think. Some more detail on the roof, on the hood, and on the side, I think overall. Like the V8 badge is nice, but I think this call could have been integrated just a bit better. But I do like how this actually, because this is higher up than this, and I like it all flows together with that. That is a nice touch there, that it all flows together. But I think the gaps could be worked out just to be a little bit smaller. I know it's a bit of work, but you gotta spend the extra time if you want to get the extra score. The gas cap on the side works fine. At the back here, this license plate, it's not the original scale. Keep it the same scale, everyone. That's the proper scale it should be for a car. So we're just gonna undo that and do it how it is. So it's definitely, you could tell the proportions were off, which I'm not a fan of. I like you did a little bit of plastic trim surround around the taillights. That is a nice touch, and I think it works pretty good. I actually think having like a grill in here instead, with some more trim around it, and then having like license plate just placed in there would be a little bit nicer looking. More detail in the bottom would be good. You can't really do much to the bottom of this one, but just a little bit would have been nice. And these dual tips are better than the quad tips, but still not perfect, but they're better. They're better. And then a bit more detail maybe on the trunk. Just, I think overall, I like where we're going with this thing, but it needs a bit more polish. We're going to give this thing, I think we're going to give it a 6. But it's getting there. I think the wheels are also a little bit too small. I mean, they're 15s. They look too small. I think the sidewall's too big. Like, it's even though that's the norm, I think the sidewall is just too big. We're gonna give it a 6. But I do appreciate your submission and like all the ones. I hope to see you as well in the next challenge. And now we have the 1975 Maston Touran version 4 by Morton. This is obviously by Mort XIII. This thing is a big old sedan, and it is a massive. It fits the length requirements and stuff I gotta double check now. Yeah, this is a massive boy. We'll leave this here. One thing I like about the car, or I don't like about the car, I personally don't like the paint, but I think it fits in with 1970s, and there's a ton of detail with the trim around. A lot of detail in this car overall. I think the door handles maybe, I think they're a more modern door handle, I think, than what the car is, but it looks good. The trim looks great. The V8 badge looks nice. Maybe like a name badge underneath the chrome trim or above it. Mirror, you know, nice on the other side too. Would be kind of cool to say like the, you know, the trim name like Sport or Perform. I don't know, something. The wheels, I think these wheels actually work fairly good with the chrome and the paint worked in, because it's going with the two-tone paint. And I think it works pretty good. A lot of detail overall. We'll look at the front real quick here. So we even got wipers. We got some trim going around the entire side of the car. Flows the body lines. I think the headlights look pretty good. I think the bottom grille looks pretty good too. Maybe just a fog lamp down here would have been a nice touch. The grille, again, this is not my personal taste, but it looks good, and there's a lot of detail involved in there as well. I was looking at it before. There's actually quite a bit of detail overall in the car. Not a fan of the spider badge, but overall the car is a great looking car, and we're gonna give this thing I think an 8.5 out of 10. Thank you, Mort, for the car. And like all the other people, I hope to see you in some more challenges. And now in front of us is the 1978 MASC. I forget what the brand name for this is called, but this is the Alpha SW. This is a big boat of a wagon. And man, oh man, do I love this body. I just love how this body looks. It's just the perfect wagon body. Starting with the front design here. The whole car actually gives me Volvo-esque vibes, just a bit. I think maybe due to the color. This is almost like a Volvo-esque color. The front end, not really too much Volvo, a little bit of Volvo, but it looks really good. It looks like a luxury big beast. I like the headlights, like the detail around the headlights and the grille, and I like how the grille actually goes up and up over the headlights. I like that. Not a fan of the badge, and a little more detail in the grille would have been nice, but there's still already a lot of detail here, so thumbs up there. I like the turn signals. I don't think I like them 100% integrated into the bumper with just this model, but it looks good from the front. Maybe a little more detail on the bottom here, as well on the hood. Maybe a piece of trim. This looks good though, and the wipers look fine. I think they might be a tiny bit high. It's so hard to make wipers look good. The antenna placed nicely. The wheels are the right size. The sidewall's just massive, but I think they look good. I just keep thinking, I'm not sure if these wheels are like wheels that would be in a car. These are aero wheels. I think they're used for like sports cars or something like that. I'm not too sure what they're actually used for. If you guys know what these wheels are actually for, let me know in the comments down below. I just don't feel like they're fit for a production car. I like the trim going around the side here. I think you should have followed all the way through though to the front, on this side right here, and maybe he even had some trim up here, so you can have like chrome trim following the side here, and then just like black trim following something else, or more chrome trim or something like that. Door handles, I think they're too modern. The mirrors fit in. I think something on the roof, even a roof rack, would look kind of cool and unique. For a luxury car, I think that would have been okay for this wagon kind of thing. The back end, I like everything, or like pretty much everything about it, except for these massive shotgun tips. Everyone does the shotgun tips. I don't know. I'm going to see the size here. So the size is not the scale of what it should be. It looks good, but it's definitely too small. Like the scale size, the unscaled size is pretty much the right size. I kind of like this indentation right here. It reminds me of like a Woody wagon kind of thing. I just think the taillights are a bit too small. I think if they either were a bit taller or they stretched a bit farther, maybe it would look a little better. But I think a little bit of work on the rear, some more detail on the side and on the hood and roof, and then the front just a tiny bit more work. But overall, I do like the design. I like where we're heading with it. I like the top end of this a lot. I like the color. I like the body style. They're not getting points for that though. And I like the back end a fair bit. Overall, I think we're gonna give this thing. I think we're gonna give this thing what, a 7.5? I think we'll give it a 7.5. I think just because the side, you know, you just have one piece of strip here and it's not all the way through. I think it's almost a little barren. In the back, I'm not a crazy fan of just the proportions and stuff. I think we'll give it a 7. Did I say 7 or 7.5? We're giving it a 7.5. 7.5 sounds good. Okay. But thank you so much for the submission. This is from, I think it was from Martin. Let me just double check real quick here. This is from Martin. I think that's how you pronounce it. Thank you for this submission, and I hope to see you in the next challenge. Now we have the 1978 Manatee Motorsport. Shout out to Mort XII Luxa GT. This is another big old wagon. This is by Manatee. first impressions here, I like the color. I like the blue and the steel paint contrasting, and then the chrome too. I think it looks pretty good. It's better than using all chrome. Starting with the front end here. The front end, you know what, it's not my taste, but it is a very intricate design. And it's pretty well done. And I think it fits in with the 1970s, 1980s. It's not my personal taste, but I like it. I like how much detail is put into it. Like, there's a ton of detail put into this front grille here. I think a bigger badge maybe would have been better for the front. Oh, and the hood bulge, or this little tiny hood bulge here. A ton of detail going on the hood. I really like that. This is probably one of the most impressive hood designs I've seen yet. I like it a lot. And the bottom bumper looks quite good as well. Honestly, no complaints with the bottom bumper. Maybe, I'm just not a fan of all the chrome. Maybe make your own chrome. But it still looks good. I like how this and this, it flows pretty, there's good flow. There's good flow. Maybe like a fog lamp down there or something would have been good. And is this the original size? Pretty much. It's the same scale, just shrunk down a tiny bit. I'll give it a half pass there. I'm not sure. You know what? I actually think that, like, this shape and size actually works with it pretty good, though. The mirrors, definitely a quirk of this 1980 pretty much wagon. I like it, though. And, like, overall the top hood, like, a lot of detail on the hood here. I like my hood detail. I like my small details here. Going on the side, I think there's a little bit sparse on the actual side details. This is 1970s. I mean, I like how it goes to steel, like steel or gray over here. Maybe some chrome trim to follow the chrome body lines or something like that would have been nice. And again, maybe something on the roof. There's a lot of empty space on the roof. I do like this actual upside down wiper. That looks quite nice. Big old door handles, big old doors in general. And over to the rear, we have a Lux badge. We have a little company logo. Is it the same as the front? It is. So you also have another license plate. Is it the right size? I think it's, oh, it's the right size. Okay. And the taillights, they are fairly detailed. There's a bit of details involved with making it. I'm not sure. Are these, okay, these are actually like rectangles. I think they flipped and stuff. Okay, yeah. I like you have the chrome going around it, and I think it fits in pretty good. Definitely a pretty, like, unique back to front end, which I think they both work pretty well together. I think overall the design is quite good. I think the back is maybe a little bit on the lacking side too. Maybe you forgot to put in tips, or maybe there's a mod for the exhaust tips. Maybe I just don't have it. And the wheels, I think they look pretty good. I think they look a little bit cheap, and they're 4 lug nuts instead of 5, which is what you want for a big old beast. But I think they fit in decently with the design. Overall, I like the color scheme a lot too, though. I think we're going to give this thing, just because there's a lack of side detail. There is a lack of side detail, and little details here and there. Like the bottom area could use a bit more detail, a bit more filling. It needs some exhaust tips, things like that. I think we're going to give this thing, I want to give it an 8. But I kind of feel like just you know what? Maybe we'll give it an 8 just for the hood and the amount of detail in this whole front end. You know, I think we'll give it an 8 just for the amount of detail in the whole front end here. In reality, I think it's more of a 7.5, but I'm going to bump it up to an 8 just because the hood detail is good. I think it looks great. Honestly, like the hood is just great. I like the hood. We're going to give this an 8. It's probably around, you know, should we give it a 7.5? You know, I think we'll give it a 7.5, but I think the hood is a 10. The hood is a 10. We'll give it a 7.5. I'm just like so conflicted. Thank you, Manatee, for the submission. Yeah, and we'll jump in right to the next one. And next up is the 1976 Lafayette Bicentennial, which, first off, I really like the name. You're not getting any points for the name, but I really like the name. This thing is a pretty chunky boy. Big, long, 4-door sedan with suicide doors. I kind of like the door handles. I kind of don't. I'm conflicted about them. Is this okay? So you actually added some detail here. Actually, what is this, a grill? What is this even? Is this just a black piece of, or a piece of trim? Oh, it's a vent. I like how it looks a lot. Is this blue? Okay, I think maybe if you made it like blue on the inside or all blue, maybe would it be a bit better? Just to add some bit more depth to the side. But I think it looks fine. Still, I think, was it steel? No, it was gray before. Okay, we'll move back to where it was. I like the Maserati almost-esque 3 side vents on the side there. I actually think it works pretty well with this body. The front end, I do like it quite a bit. I like this kind of 2 system for the headlight with some other auxiliary lights down there. I like the detail with this chrome bar piece and this other, oh, this piece going on the side here. Okay, a fair bit of detail is actually involved in making some trim cladding and stuff. That's actually quite a bit of detail. I'm not sure if I'm digging the detail on the door trim. I feel like trim should keep flowing with the body or flowing to something, and it sort of just stops. And I kind of don't like that. I think you should have had square trim down here, and then the door handles maybe just off to themselves. Okay, we'll go back to the front end here. I like the hood bulge. The wipers look good. Maybe they're touching. Maybe they move them a little bit farther apart. I think the front's pretty good. I think the only thing is like there is detail in here, but I just think it looks a little bit unpolished. It's just, like, there is physical detail, but like visuals, it doesn't look visually too much different. You see the color, and it looks good, but I wonder if you could do more. I like the grill though. I like this whole top piece here. I'm not sure if I like these. I like integrated things into the bumper, but I don't like them when they sit in the bumper 4 inches. The roof and the hood, I think overall a little more detail maybe you could have added. This badge looks perfectly in place here. The wheels might be a mod, and I do not like the blue on these. The back here, so you have a single shotgun tip, which I think looks better. They are fairly small, which fits in fine. The back, the only thing I would change maybe is the taillights, just because, like, you can't see them from any kind of angle, which all would not meet any sort of regulations, or would not meet some regulations. It looks good though when you're looking straight on the back. I think if you had like just like a dual stack or something like that that goes all the way out to the edge, almost like an L shape. I think it looks good. Honestly, I wouldn't change anything with the back. Maybe just adding like another piece of script up here, like Bicentennial, maybe like a smaller, like a Lafayette, smaller here, something like that. Overall, a lot of detail put into this car. Favorite detail. I like the color scheme. I like lots of bits of the car. I think some places could have the design reworked just a bit. Like this area, I think could be a bit more working with the trim here. And I almost think maybe, you know, the detail maybe could have been put elsewhere, I think. But still, it is a good-looking vehicle, and definitely fits in with the 1970s, 1980s luxury barge thingamabobber. We're going to give this thing a 7.5. Thank you. This is from Capitalism Ho. Thank you for the submission, bud. I like the color choice. I like the front end. I think some design could be reworked on the side. There's a lot of elements, and I think some of them are clashing. But there's a lot of work in here, and I do appreciate the work. Capitalism Ho at 7.5. Thank you for your submission. And now we have the 1975 Jewess Iskobaron Luxurious. This is a big old wagon, almost like a 1960s or 1970s style that brought up the 1980s. Definitely has a little bit more of a classic design to it. This is by, I can't pronounce your name 100%, but from what I translated, it translates to Pushin'. I think that's right. You'll see your score down below. When this is done, I don't know the score rate. First off, a lot of detail has been put into this car. I almost feel like the front end is a little bit too old. This is 1976, but cars are starting to get a little more, I don't want to say futuristic, 1970s futuristic, like, you know, like if you look up like things like 1976 Cadillac Eldorado, I think they had square headlights almost. I think everything is starting to go towards square headlights. Some not though, so that's what I'm giving this benefit of the doubt. There's a lot of detail in here. I think it all works together pretty good. I like how the bumpers stick out right there. It actually doesn't even stick out as far as the front, which is wild. And is the license plate the right? This is like the real test. And the license plate's the right size. Going to the top here, it is a split window design, which is very unique. I kind of like that. Interesting. I think the hood itself gives a bit more detail, though. I do like the green. If I were giving a bonus points, you'd get bonus points for having a green. The turn signals up here, like the front, I probably wouldn't change anything on the front. I just think that maybe it's a bit old, a bit dated of a design. The hood could use detail, though. The turn signal, I think, here is just a bit too big. It is a massive turn. This is a massive vehicle, though. And I think you are using leaf or solid axles front and rear, which probably would not have been the case for a car of this caliber at this time period. That's why your car sits so high, and it doesn't look that great if it's sitting so high. I love this 3-piece window design, actually. A lot of detail put, some small interesting details that people haven't done before. I like that, and I appreciate the use of this more classic body. This gas cap is definitely too large, I think, and too low to be a good gas cap, but I like the chrome detail put on the side there. It looks quite good. And the wheels, I think, are pretty period correct as well. A bit more detail, I think, on the side would be nice. I just noticed the two-tone paint in the antenna there. Oh, yeah. Maybe more detail on the roof, too. But the two-tone paint it's beautiful. It's like a green, turquoise green almost, which I'm like, from different angles looks different colors. I like that. And it's like a silver gray on the top. So the Iskobaron, the Jewess Iskobaron. So the back here is this license plate the right size again. I'm assuming it is. It is. Okay. I like the detail in the back here. I like the taillights. I like the whole back. Honestly, there's a lot of chrome. Some would say too much chrome overall, especially for like getting to the late 70s. This is a 1975 to 1976 car right here. You can tell. I think for 1970s, like earlier 70s, this is a beautiful design. But it almost seems a bit dated. Like these taillights are, you know, 60s approaching 70s kind of design, or 50s approaching 50s to 70s-ish design even. Cars didn't really have taillights like this in the mid-70s. The front ends, I can sort of see the taillights. It looks good, though. I'll give it that. It looks good, and the shotgun tips don't even look out of place, surprisingly. So overall, like I think there's a lot of details in here. I really like the front, and I really like the back. And I like the side affair, but I like the details on the side and the windows and stuff. But I feel like it's not part of the same time period, which is what we're going for, late 70s kind of Luxobarge. You can design earlier, and I see that, but I feel like there's some things missing in terms of a luxury barge. Too high ride height, not enough detail on the side, I feel like, and I think the taillights are definitely, the back end taillights are definitely too old to be 1970s or even 60s-ish. But I do appreciate the submission. I think we're going to give this thing, just for the such detail in the front, we're going to give this thing a 7, just for the such detail in the front. But if this were like a 1960s challenge, this thing would be scoring much higher. But we're going to give it a 7 for this one. I really appreciate the submission, and I hope to see you in more challenges. Next up is the 1976 Hauscher Souvenir Deluxe. This is by, I think it was Eric. Let me double check here. This is by Eric. This is a big old 1970s American sedan. First off, I'm not sure. I think you're using, these are not stock wheels. I don't like them. 4-lug especially, 4 lug nuts. It was not the norm for a big, massive V8 vehicle in the late 70s. I like the amount of detail put into the front. A lot of detail put into this front. I'm not digging the color scheme, but I can see, I don't know if it's, yeah. I dig two-tone. I don't think I dig this color scheme. I don't know if it fits 100% with 1970s, like this exact color scheme, but two-tone obviously does. I like the front a lot. I almost, yeah, I feel like it could be late 70s, just because you have the squares in the circles. You have the, I think this actually would be better if it was not a grille, if you had it just black behind it, just because an actual vent would look a little less realistic, I think. A little sporty if it had that. I like this big nose piece right here. I like this big piece right in the middle too. This big, I'm blanking what word that actually is, but this piece in the middle here, we have the Hauscher name right in the middle, which I like. I'm not sure if I'm digging the chrome going through it though. I don't think I dig that, or the vents here. I think maybe a hood bulge instead. And then take away these 2 chrome lines or have more subtle like vents. The wipers, I think they're placed pretty much fine. Now to the side profile, there is a lot of chrome strips, and I think it works pretty well on the side here. I don't think it works with this color combo, but I like detail there, and I think the chrome works good. And there's actually chrome going down the whole side here, which I also do appreciate. And a wiper on the back window. I think the roof could use a bit more detail. I feel like this gas cap is just too large. I feel like that's just massive, because like the wheels are how big? The wheels are wheels are quite large, 17 inches, and this is what, like a 9-inch disc. It's quite large. Going to the back here, Hauscher Souvenir. The back end, I feel like the front end is a bit more detailed. The back, I think the back end is a bit more simple. It looks fine though, but I think it's more simple, and I'm not a fan of all this text, because the whole back end is literally just text. And we have dual tips, which is fine. Is this the right size? I think it is, and it is. Overall, I think it's a pretty good vehicle. I said that about every single vehicle. I know that. I said that about every single one. I like the front end a lot. The front end has a ton of detail. If it's just front end alone, I think this would be a much higher score. But a few things, like the color combo really doesn't below with some things from the design that you have. I don't like how the hood's worked out. And the back end I think is a bit too plain. It looks fine, but I think it's a bit too plain. Overall, I think we're going to give this thing also a 7 out of 10. Appreciate the submission, and I hope to see you in some more challenges in the future. Down in front of us is a car by Lucas. This is a different body style. This is the body style that we have. I don't think we've seen before in the whole challenge. 1978 Hawken Chris DCV. I don't even know what car this body is from. Like, what car is this body from? Let me know in the comments down below. I'm just intrigued. It feels like a Mercedes almost from the front, which I do appreciate. I think the headlights maybe are a little bit too modern. Like, this is what you see in like a 1990s Mercedes or late 80s. Like, the headlights are too modern. These closed beam, big old headlights here. But they look good. They look good, which is, you know, half the battle. Obviously, this license plate might be too small. It is too small. Although it doesn't look as good, you gotta have the actual right size license plate on there. You gotta have the right size license plate on there. I don't think it looks half bad with that, but we're gonna undo it, just keep it as is. I don't like how this bottom end, everything all connects here. These lights are also a little bit higher than here. I think everything should be like working with the flow here or at the same level. I think the front end looks good. I think it's a bit plain, and I think the headlights are a bit too modern. I think, like, yeah. I like the strip going down the hood here, and the vents on the hood as well, and the wipers. Again, I think the wipers are too modern. The mirrors aren't though. The mirrors are fine. And I like you integrated the turn signal and the V8 badge. That all flows pretty well together. The wheels, I think they're a bit cheap, but like they fit late 70s, but I think they're maybe look a bit cheap looking. Door handles, they're fine, maybe a little on the large side, but they're fine. And I think more detail overall needed for the side. On the roof here, we have a pretty fair-sized sunroof and an antenna, which I think is good detail on there. And at the back, I'm not sure if they would have power sunroofs like this still back in the day, but we'll imagine it does. The back, I think the taillights are too modern. I don't think the design works for the back. I think lower taillights, maybe lower big taillights over here, and then having text up here, and this license plate also is not the right size. But overall, I think the color matches like late 70s pretty good as well. Overall, I think it's a good start. I say that about everything. I say everything's good. I think it's a decent. Yeah, I say it's decent. It's a start. And I think you keep working on it, keep building on it, and it could be a beautiful luxury sedan. It's a very unique body. I think you're the only one who's even tried this body, so you get bonus points in my head for that. Not in the challenge though. I think we're gonna give this thing, just because I think lots of things are too modern, we'll give it a 6. If you didn't have as modern, because the headlights are too modern, the taillights are too modern, and so are the wipers, we're gonna give it a 6. It could even be a 5.5. Yeah, you know what? I think we'll do this. We'll do a 5.5 just because I think everything's too modern. If you had more period correct, even just like 2 circle headlights here with some black trim around it, in a square, and then I think different tail lights, I think it would have been a much higher score. We're gonna give it a 5.5. But I do, like always, appreciate your submission, Lucas, and I hope to see you as well in the next challenge. And next up is the 1978 Excalibur LQ200 by Clippy with a gun. This one is a pretty refreshing take. It's quite conservative, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I think there might be lacking a few details in the front here. So we have a single headlight and a pretty simple grille. I think some detail in the grille would have been nice. And these headlights, they're fine, but I don't know if they fit a luxury car of this caliber, or of what would be this caliber. I think this is too small too. No, it's the right size. Okay, yeah, that fits. I think turn signals are nice, and like this extra little empty here, but I think it's just a little piece of trim going to it, connecting it, making everything flows, you know? The hood needs some more detail as well. And I think you have 2 different kind of wipers. One is like a rear kind of wiper, I think like a rear window wiper, I think maybe more of. I'm not sure, they just, I don't know. It's just off to me, maybe it's the same one, it's just off. The wheels, I don't know if it's a mod or not, but they do not fit. The trim down here, I like the trim down here, everything flows pretty nicely. I think you actually should have made this a little bit smaller to be the same size with that. That would have been kind of nice. The door handles are, I think, too modern, maybe. You got red calibers too, that's not what you'd have. At the back here, taillights, I mean, everything was big. Everything was big in the 1970s, I like to think. Taillights may be a bit too small, and I don't like how these fog lights sort of stick out there. It just looks kind of weird. Looks just kind of weird. You got like a tip on the back of your trunk there. I'm not sure if the back design works in much of a sense. I think the front end is better done than the back. But I do appreciate the Excalibur and the LQ badge right there. LQ200 maybe would have been nice, or just LQ. I'm not too sure. Some more detail on the trunk, the hood, and I think like the sunroof's fine. The roof, it might be a little bit large, but it's fine. Overall, like I like some things. Like I like this layout, but I think the headlights could be a bit more luxurious looking. They look a bit cheap. And they don't really fit in with a luxury car. The wheels, I do like this two-layer trim. I think this trim is it just looks nice with this color. This color looks nice with all the stuff at the back end. Yeah, I think overall, I think we're to give this, I think we're going to do a 5, just because I feel like it just looks like a cheap, big full-size sedan, and not like a luxury sedan. I feel like it just looks like a cheap sedan. Like you tried with the chrome and stuff, but I think the design wasn't there. But I do like some small details again, like this just works together nicely, like there. And I like the layout of the front of the top piece, not the bottom piece. But we're gonna give it a 5. I do appreciate your submission, Clippy with a gun, and I hope to see you as well in the next challenge. Next up is the 1978 Enero Bellezza. This is by Mr. Cat Bellezza. First thing you notice, pop up and down headlights. These are like folding up headlights. This grille looks quite good with the headlights. All the front end looks actually quite complete. The only thing I don't like is the lack of, the bottom feels a little bare. Maybe I'm just like a lot of details in overstyled cars, which I do, but you guys know that, right? I think just a bit more, and I really don't like this license plate, but it's actually quite large. It's actually quite large. Oh, it's actually oversized, which I'll leave it, but it's oversized. The hood looks fine. I think maybe like a hood bulge even would be nice, or some chrome trim along the sides here would be kind of cool. The roof, there's a rear roof window, or a moonroof, I guess is what it is. It looks good. I love the trim going around the entire length of the body, starting right here and even right here going around the entire body, front to back. Looks good. I love that detail. And the wheels I feel like fit in quite good as well. The door handles are good. The mirror's good. The wipers I think are too modern, and they're a little bit awkwardly placed. The back here, I like this simple little hood stripe though. This little chrome piece. I like this. Is this one piece or this is a couple pieces? Okay, it looks good. The Beliza badge in the back there looks good. The whole back end actually, this whole top piece looks awesome. No complaints. I really love these gosh darn taillights so much. Like, it's on any car that has these. I just love these taillights, how they look. And it looks way good in this car. And the back and the front are mirrored. In design, everything flows very, very nicely together. Yeah, honestly, the only complaint I would have for some of the design here is maybe do a bit more to, like, just too much chrome, I think. Just too much chrome at the bottom. This chrome bumper is massive. Or maybe just don't make this chrome. Maybe. Or have, like, no chrome and have make your own chrome badges. And just a more detail in the... on the bumpers, and then no quad exhaust. That's my biggest thing: the chrome, the quad exhaust, and the bumpers. And maybe tiny more details, maybe here, there, but there's still a lot here. Overall, we're gonna give this thing an 8. Thank you for the submission. This is from, I think it was from Mr. Cat. Let me double check here on my list. Thank you, Mr. Cat, for your submission. We're gonna give it an 8, and I hope to see you in the next challenge. For 1974 came the Elp Jitter 7MPLK. This vehicle was sent to me from Jake the Steak. This is a more classic American style body. I'm not sure. I think it's a bit too old style, but we'll see if we can get a good design here. I just want to see the suspensions. We have, what do we have for suspension here? Oh, double wishbone. I think the suspension's riding a bit high with those double wishbones. You could have made it a bit lower. I think it would have looked a bit nicer lower. Front design. It's interesting. I'm not sure if it works just because, yeah, let's see here. If we make this, are these headlights in front of the grille? Or are they behind? Oh, okay, no, they're in front nicely. We'll just put that back as is. Pretty much as is, that's fine. I like this grille, I like the headlights, I like the wipers, but I think it's just too old. It is for 1974, which I understand that. But the grille design, it's a little too simple, I feel like. It's not complex enough to be something like a luxury sedan. In this case, sedan. I feel like the body's almost 1960s, like with the shape, yeah, with the roof line you kind of made there. It's almost like 1960s, like 1970s, or is this like a 1960s coupe even? I'm not sure. This is just a really curvy roof. I don't know. I'm just not. Maybe that would be look a little more 1970s, kind of fastbacky, swooping lines. Hood scoop a little bit sporty. I'm not sure if I like the placement of it either. The mirrors are fine. Definitely too large though. The wheels. More of a dragster wheels, and a little less of a luxury car, and the license plate is the right size. You get bonus points for that. The front, I think overall, it just needs more detail. The door handles, too low and too modern. The trim piece, though, down here is nice. The gas cap, maybe a little large, but it's nice. The Elp Jitter badge, it's fine, but I think the back end needs, for sure, more detail, and these massive exhaust tips are a no. I like the color, though. It reminds me a bit more of a muscle car, but I like where you're starting. You're starting from like a 1970s kind of Dodge, I think. I think that's what this is sort of looking like here. But you just got to work on that a bit more and make it a bit more into a luxury sedan. Anyways, though, I do appreciate the submission. We're going to give this thing, we're going to give it a 4.5. I think, or, you know, we're going to give it a 4. We're going to give it a 4. I feel like it just doesn't fit in 100% with a luxury big barge here. It looks almost like a muscle car, like a performance-oriented vehicle that's just been let go instead of being a luxury barge. We're going to give it a 4. But I do appreciate your submission, and I hope to see you, Jake the Steak, in some more challenges, bud. And next up is the 1978 Element Preflux Ecstasy. This is by Max. This is a big old green, and of course I love the color green coupe. 1978 is the model year for this beast. Starting with the front, I do like how the grille and the headlights all flow together. And then actually, the whole front end design actually flows pretty well. I think more design is needed though, but I think the whole thing right now flows pretty well. Like this flows up towards the lights, everything all flows up towards each other, and it's all a pretty concise design. I think the headlights themselves, though, are a bit too modern, and they don't fit in with 1978 exactly. Maybe 1988 would have this, but 1978 probably not. I do like having the badge in the grille, and the hood emblem on top, but I think using maybe a smaller hood emblem with some chrome trim, or just a bit more chrome and a bit less flashy than the very top here, because you know, you've got two badges, or two pretty much symbols on the front of your car. Having a smaller one maybe, then some chrome, just to pull yourself away from that, but in a bit more detail in the hood as well. Down here, I see no issues with the bottom end here. It is a little bit lacking chrome, I think, the whole front end, but I think the bottom piece is just plain, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it is, it's clean is maybe the word I'm looking for. And the license plate is the right size, so points for that. You don't get any points, but you know, points on my head. The wheels are 16 inches, which is right where they should be, I think. Definitely in near the bigger size, I think, even for 1978. Coming to the side profile here, I do really like this vent on the side here, and there is a distinct lack of chrome, I think, on the bottom part of the car. This is still a 1970s car, and even into the 80s, there was still a lot of chrome, especially for a luxury barge such as this. The turn signal there is fine. I think instead of having a circle turn signal here, you could have made do with like another badge maybe, or some actual like lettering spelling one of the names or whatnot. The door handle's fine. The wheels, I think you could have went with a chrome wheel, I think, and then also a different rim pattern, because these wheels are more of an economy kind of car wheel. They are a 4-lug design, or four wheel lug nuts. Typically a big muscle car or a bigger boat like this would have something like 5 or even more. Even just off the top of my head, if we just pull like some sort of wire wheel or something like that, maybe. Not necessarily this, but something similar to that. Just something a bit more fancy. This is a rather expensive car, and obviously you want to have some more rather expensive wheels to have that as well. We're going to undo that just so I can... Can we undo it right now? I don't even think so. We'll leave it there for now. I'll just remember that we had a certain wheel spoke design. Now going around the side even more, I'm going to keep looking for it as we go, I guess. Coming around the side even more to the back end of the car. It is a pretty nice design. I think the taillights should have been just a bit bigger. If they are stretched up to here, even like down to the bottom, all the way to the bottom, or even up to the top. This chrome bar is nice here. I do like having the preflux and the element badges spelt out. This license plate, I think, is a bit too small. No, it's the right size. I think, because I was actually taking a look at this before, it was a bit too small. I did change the size. It was about this big. I was taking a look at the car before. So it was about this big. I made it bigger though, so in future things, just try to have license plate just the regular scale. Don't change the size. I was actually thinking have license plate maybe up here instead, and having maybe a bit of chrome around it, things like that, and then some detail on the bottom. One thing I want to do give you One thing I want to give you props for though is having one single plain Jane exhaust, which is something that probably would have happened, or that would be on cars of this era, especially luxury cars. I do appreciate it. It's maybe a tiny bit small, like physically small, the circumference, but the diameter of the pipe, but the just single plain Jane one is perfectly what they should have. I do also like having the badge back here, and then the one individual antenna, which looks good, and we have a gas cap on the side. Overall, I think it's a pretty good design. I think it lacks a little bit of chrome though. It's not as flashy as maybe a luxury barge can be. These headlights are extremely flashy. They are definitely too advanced, which makes it quite flashy. But I think in future, maybe some more squared off headlights. I was thinking similar to like these, or that, having some chrome trim, or even that maybe, but just something a little bit more within the time period, and then a bit more detail here or there. I do like the bottom part of the grill here. I probably even wouldn't change that much, maybe just a bit more chrome like I said. Overall, I think it's a good start. I think a little bit more detail is necessary, but I do like how everything is getting laid out. I actually really like this grill placement. No one placed vents like this in a great spot. I think this vent actually works really well with this body, and you get props for that. So overall, we're going to give this thing a 6. I think it could use a bit more fit and finish, a bit more polish, but I like where the design is going, like I keep saying. And the headlights are a bit too modern, and I think lack of chrome is definitely a big thing. It just doesn't look as flashy as it could be. And the wheels, of course, we changed them. The ones that they had didn't as well fit in with like a 1978 luxury barge. But I do appreciate the submission, Max, and I hope to see you in next challenges as well. And now in front of us is the 1978, I guess every car is 1978, the Electi Mock Braggle. I hope I'm not pronouncing that right at all, probably, but I hope I'm trying my best. Synchro Deluxe. First off, I really like just the word Synchro Deluxe. It just sounds like a really unique strip name, and I like that a lot. The front end of this thing is a big old coupe, similar to the previous one. I do really like the size and the shapes of the front headlights. There's definitely a lot of detail in this front grille here, an immense amount of detail clearly here, including this very intricate logo. Which almost looks like the letter A, just flexing at us. I like that. I really like the headlights. I like the size, I like the shape. Definitely faded with 1970s or late 1970s aesthetic. The turn signal, actually, there's just a lot of detail in this car. The yellow, I guess this is like little fog lights or whatever they have. This is more of a European kind of thing. I can't you know, put together the word I'm trying to say right now, but that's okay. The grill itself is extraordinarily detailed. We actually have like a 2 pieces to the grill. We actually have so much pieces, more than 2. Every line is individually placed for the most part, or so much of the lines are. Then the front bumper here, the whole assembly is quite intricate and detailed as well, with some more vents and grills here and there. Overall, a very well designed front end so far. Going to the hoodie here, I do like this little bulge and then a scoop inside of it. Looks a little bit sporty, a little bit on the muscle car era, but it looks really good. And I guess you're trying to hide the intake right there. Oh no, or is this part of it? No, this is actually a like a race intake. Okay, yeah. It actually just looks really good. I like that. I like that. Maybe it looks a little bit sporty. The FH 600. I'm assuming it's 600 pound-feet of torque. I don't want to check right now, but we can check, I guess. It is 465 pound-feet. Maybe it's Newton meters. I'm not too sure. It's a 9.8 liter engine. This thing is an absolute beast of an engine. 0 to 60 in 7.1 seconds. Going from the side here, it actually looked a bit wonky for a second, but it's just the viewing angle. So the trim theme just follows along the whole body here. One thing I don't like about this body, so following this body line is actually a little bit higher than this one, I think. It doesn't flow perfectly with this, but it looks quite good. The door handle fits in. I think maybe moving the door handle back a tiny bit would have been nicer. The wipers are placed perfectly fine, no issues with them, and same with the mirrors. Mirrors maybe a little bit more for personal taste though, you know. I think the wheels fit in pretty well. They almost look more like a, they almost remind me of like a 1990s Japanese kind of a Honda Civic with some aftermarket wheels on it almost. They are 4-lug, but they look damn good. And because they are sort of, you know, like wiry kind of wheels like you'd have back in the day, I think they look quite good. This detail right here, a little bit of a vent near the rear window, looks very impressive as well. There's a lot of little details here and there, and that's actually all hand placed. I do approve of that. And then we have some trim going along the roof, which looks, again, quite great. A single antenna. And at the back, we have a very detailed back end. I just noticed this is a gray on black car, which usually I don't think too much dark colors looks, you know, it's kind of hard to see things, details and stuff, but everything fits in pretty well with this car. Actually, it looks quite good. So at the back end here, the A flexing logo looks quite good at the back. A pretty simple spoiler, which I think fits this car pretty good, man. This thing is just massive. And the taillights are extraordinarily detailed as well. Overall, this is a very detailed beast. This is a little bit on the sport. This is like, you know, a little bit sportier than what might traditionally be like an American luxury barge, or just any kind of luxury barge. But it's maybe going for some European appeal, which I feel like the design is going for a little bit of European appeal. And it's doing it very well. There's actually, okay, the tires almost look like they almost look a little bit small. Like, what's the wheel size here? 16. Seems like almost like the diameter of the tires is a little bit small, but it looks quite good nonetheless. Overall, I think this is a very well done car. Honestly, there's not much that I would change. I'd say maybe it's a little bit sporty on the design. Besides that, is a damn near perfect car, and there's a ton of detail put in this thing. We're gonna give this thing a 9. I think it would have been a 10, just for a few tiny touches. Like, I think you could have moved this up, even though it wouldn't look perfectly, up a little bit higher, so it flows a little better. The wheels, I don't think personally the wheels fit in, but they look really good. I just feel like there's better choices, and it looks a little bit sporty. Those are the only things that really change for like a 1970s luxury barge. If this was like a 1970s, like a sporty coupe GT car, you know, a bit more sporty, then this is going to be a 10 out of 10 for sure, but we're going to give it a 9. Thank you so much for the submission, Groovester, and I hope to see you as well in the next challenge. And last for today's review video, but it's certainly not least, this is the Douglas 500, and this was submitted to me by Martin. This is a big old front engine. Is the rear-wheel drive V8 sedan? It's a V8 rear-wheel drive. I mean, they're all V8. A rear-wheel drive sedan. Starting with the front of the design, this car is clearly trying to go for a little bit earlier 70s, which is still fine. Looking at the front here, has a lot of elements, like a lot of the 70s cars with these quad headlights, like, you know, these horizontal quad headlights. They look kind of similar, and I don't think that's a bad thing. It's just, you know, one thing with these old cars here, I think this would have looked a bit better if you actually had black instead of a mesh finish. It just looks a little bit. Wait, what are we clicking on here? There's a couple layers here. Maybe am I doing it right? I don't know why I can't do that. Oh, this thing actually is a grill built in. I think if you did this and that, because most cars didn't really have like a vent behind it. Let's see if we just do that. And almost if you just change that to dark as well, like that, I think that would look nice. I'm gonna put it back to where it was-ish, because it was pretty much, was that okay? We'll leave like that. Back to where it was. I think it would look better if it was just flat black. It looks almost a little weird. It's a little bit almost hard to see. I do like the actual base grill, and everything flows together quite good in the front end, and then there's a lot of detail actually here going off to the side here. It all flows quite nicely. The front bumper is nice. There's a good amount of chrome, not too much, not too little, especially for a mid-70s luxury barge. I'm not sure if I'm digging these vents down here. Just from the front angle, they look kind of weird. But down here, looks quite good. The hood bulge is fine. Again, this is edging a little bit more on the sports muscle car kind of thing, and there's one tiny chrome piece, which I do like, the little small detail right there, and of course this is Douglas across the front there as well. So up here there is some vents, and the vents, they actually all flow together nicely, no issues with these vents in particular. Another badge right there, and then some chrome, simple chrome going down the side here, flowing with pretty much the body lines going into where the rear taillight housing starts. And there is another piece. Is this just like a glitch? Is that what this is, or is this chrome, or is this... Okay, it's another piece of chrome. I'm not sure if it's an accidentally placed. It doesn't really fit in with too much. But it's fine there, I guess. I think these turn signals, these secondary turn signals near the back could have been placed within the chrome, just to follow the same theme as this, or even a similar design to that would look kind of nice too. The chrome on the side here looks fine, no issues with that really. It's not perfect with it, but I'm not going to fault you on the game's flaws, I guess, quote unquote. I think the wheels fit in pretty fine. I think these would be 4-lug wheels, and they're a little bit on the cheaper side, but I think it actually looks pretty good. Is this steel or is this chrome? I'm not too sure for the wheels. Is this... Okay, it is chrome. It just looks... Oh no, it's paint. It's custom chrome that you made. Actually, it looks interesting. I actually do like it. Looking at the side here, so I think over the side's a little bit plain Jane, and I think you could have done a bit more to flesh out the design just a bit. Looking at the back here, I love these gosh darn taillights. These are my favorite classic taillights for like 70s and 80s, or like mid 70s, 80s-ish. And I think they are, like, they're never done wrong. Again, I'm not really a fan of this trim right here. Maybe, I'm assuming you probably use some font with some text here, because it is a little barren in the back. I'm assuming maybe you'd use some font here and there is what I would maybe guess. I'm not too sure. Either way, with what we have here, it's a little bit awkward. But some more detail in the back here is needed. I'm not sure if you had mods or not, that I didn't have, obviously. The sunroof there is a nice touch as well. Overall, I think it's a pretty good design. You are, of course, going for the earlier 70s kind of luxury coupe, but it's almost approaching muscle car territory. If you look at cars, you know, like GT cars and big kind of muscly kind of cars from the even mid-70s, they have a certain pizzazz to them, and I feel like this is more of like a performance-oriented beast, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but I think a few touches. So the front's fine. I think changing this to black, and then I wouldn't really touch much more in the front, maybe a tiny bit more chrome, maybe change this to like just a little bit more of a non-aggressive and pointy bulge. I like how these turn signals sort of flows into here, though. I like most of the front end quite good. No issues really with the front end here. And just a bit more detail on the side and on the back. Overall, I think it's a pretty good design, especially, you know, towards the mid-70s and stuff, but approaching more of a muscle car kind of aesthetic. We're going to give this thing 7.5. Again, more detail, I think. The color looks great, though, actually, on this car. More detail, a little more to differentiate this as a muscle car to a luxury sedan or a luxury coupe, because there are some small differences, that, you know, design differences, a little more luxurious looking. This looks a little bit under luxurious, I think. But it's still a good-looking car and a solid-looking muscle car. So overall, we're going to give this thing, yeah, again, a 7.5. I think that's what I said. But I do appreciate the submission, and I hope to see you as well in the next challenge. Alright guys, so that is it. That is 21 cars reviewed today. The next review video is going to be out tomorrow around the same time, so make sure to tune in then. If your car wasn't in here today, and it's not in the disqualified list, then it's probably going to be in the next one. If it's not in the next one, well, then start yelling at me because I messed up. But I just want to do a big shout out to the Discord. Link for the Discord in the description. We have weekly community challenges going on in there, so if you want to join a weekly challenge, which have a bit less restrictive rules than this, click the link in the description below. I also do live streams, usually about twice a week, so stay tuned for those as well, where I think this week we're actually going to be doing a multiplayer live stream with all you guys. I'm thinking maybe GTA 5 online races, because they are pretty chill, pretty easy to set up, and it's a lot of fun. So anyways guys, thank you so much for all your support, thank you for watching, and as always, I'll see you next time.